The three emotions that block you from your intuition are often the ones you're constantly trying to justify, to suppress, or explain instead of feeling. I'm going to refer to the most common ones: fear, anxiety, and anger. And these emotions don't become dangerous because they exist. They become dangerous when they start driving your decisions without you realizing it. In this video, I want to show you how suppressing, explaining, or justifying emotions disconnects you from your intuition, and how learning to actually feel them can completely change the way you take action in your life. Action that's informed by the energy of this emotion. Action that translates into wise living. And stay until the end, because I'd like to share a practice that can help you stop spiraling in your mind, reconnect with what you're actually feeling, and begin finding a deeper sense of peace and clarity underneath that mental noise. Let's begin with fear. Fear is probably making more of your decisions than you realize. Not because you are weak, but because most of us were never taught how to consciously experience fear in the body. Fear is not just an emotion. Fear is energy moving through your nervous system, trying to protect you. But what most of us do is immediately narrate it. We feel fear, and within seconds, the mind begins, what if this happens? I need to control this. This means something's wrong. Or how do I make this go away? And suddenly, you're not longer feeling fear. You're thinking about fear. And that's a completely different experience. The problem is that when fear stays unprocessed in the body, it begins to quietly lead your life. It decides who you trust, what opportunities you avoid, what conversations you postpone, how small you play, how much control you try to maintain. And many times we mistake fear for intuition. But intuition feels clear and calm. Fear feels urgent. Intuition feels expansive. And fear feels contracted. And the only way to begin telling the difference between the two is to stop explaining fear and begin experiencing it directly. So the next time fear appears, instead of asking, how do I get rid of this? Ask, what does fear actually feel like in my body now? Maybe it feels tight, hot, heavy, shaky, restless, and just let the body experience it for a moment without trying to turn it into a story. Because something incredible happens when you stop resisting fear and the body finishes the experience, and clarity begins to return naturally. You do not need to become fearless to trust yourself. You simply need to become willing to stay present long enough to stop letting fear secretly make your decisions for you. So let's talk about anxiety. Anxiety is often what happens when the mind refuses to stay in the present moment, right? Anxiety is usually the mind preparing for situations that haven't happened yet, aka your future, and the nervous system trying to anticipate danger before it arrives. And because the sensation feels uncomfortable when we feel it, we immediately try to think our way through it. We overanalyze it. We overplan, overstretch, overexplain, overthink. So overthinking keeps anxiety looping. Feeling it consciously allows it to move. And one of the biggest favors I did myself was when I stopped asking, how do I stop this anxiety? And started asking, what happens if I stop narrating the anxiety and simply feel it? Because underneath anxiety, there is often exhaustion, pressure, grief, uncertainty, or fear of losing control. But we almost never stay long enough to discover that. We interrupt the experience with a mental noise, with mental chatter. And when anxiety is constantly suppressed or mentally managed, your intuition becomes almost impossible to hear. Because intuition is subtle. It does not scream over your mental chaos. It's quiet, direct, simple. And the body often knows what is true long before the mind catches up. But you cannot hear the body clearly if the mind is constantly trying to escape discomfort. So instead of immediately trying to fix anxiety, try sitting with it for 90 seconds, that's it. No story, no solving, no interpretation. Just breathing and noticing. What is this experience actually asking me to feel? Anxiety does not always need a solution. Sometimes it simply needs your willingness to stop abandoning yourself the moment discomfort appears. Now let's address anger. Anger is one of the most misunderstood emotions we have. Many of us were taught that anger is bad, too much, or unspiritual, unattractive, or unsafe. So instead of feeling anger directly, we suppress it, or we justify it endlessly in our minds. But anger itself is not the problem. Unconscious anger is. Anger is often showing us where a boundary has been crossed, where truth has been ignored, where resentment has been building maybe for years. Anger can explode outward in ways that don't actually reflect the deeper truth underneath the anger. And what I've noticed in myself is that when I allow myself to consciously feel anger in the body without acting from that anger immediately, it begins to transform. Because beneath the anger, there's usually hurt or sadness or fear or a deep longing for respect or to feel safe or seen. But you can't access that deeper layer while you're busy defending the story in your mind. So instead of immediately reacting the next time anger appears, pause. Feel the heat. Feel the energy. Feel the contraction and ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to reveal before my mind turns it into a problem? That question can change how you relate to others. Anger is not here to destroy you. Sometimes it's simply trying to reconnect you with the parts of yourself that you've abandoned in order to stay comfortable or accepted. Fear, anxiety, and anger are not blocking your intuition because they exist. They block it when they remain unfelt, suppressed, or constantly narrated in the mind. So this week, instead of trying to think your way into clarity, try giving yourself permission to fully experience what's already here. Because most time, the moment you stop fighting or resisting emotions is the moment your inner wisdom finally becomes clear enough to hear. If you want to learn about the subtle ways that we abandon ourselves through people-pleasing or through hiding our feelings and pretending we are okay, in the next video, I share a personal story that can change the way you create and maintain your most important and intimate relationships. And I'd also love to hear in the comments, what is the emotion that you feel disconnects you the most from your intuition? And don't forget to grab the real-time exercise to begin to find peace beyond your thoughts and find your alignment from the description below.